Hey everyone, a quick disclaimer here. This video was made before any patches or anything else like that was fixed, so please bear that in mind when watching, and I hope you enjoy the video.
I liked it very much.
Yes, it was nice.
You don't sound very convincing.
Well, to tell you the truth, it wasn't that great.
Really? I see.
10 out of 10 good game. I'm going to cover 4 different points of views in this video: the bad, the mixed, the good, ending on the great. I structured it this way because I want my videos to end on a more positive note, and more importantly, give praise to these amazing developers for all their hard work and all they've accomplished. With that being said, let's get my first hot take out of the way.
Now who can that friend be?
The terrible fall and why Henry's stats took a major hit. I'm going to be upfront and honest about this. I absolutely hate it. I don't like it one bit. I understand where the devs are coming from. They don't want us to be completely overpowered from the start, but in my opinion, this could have been done in a better way. Henry recovers very quickly from this terrible fall, this injury. If he had such a terrible fall, why does it never physically affect him outside of the beginning of the game when he needed to be rebandaged due to moving around too much? Henry never has any other problems from this injury in the early stages of the game. Wounds never reopen from a fight. Nothing is debilitating, even though everyone is supposed to be stronger than you in the early game. I feel like this adds an artificial difficulty to the game because of the major stat drop. And I feel like this could have been easily avoided if it just would have been implemented differently. Such as, instead of starting us off, I think, at like level 7, we still stay as level 17, but other people are level 20 to 30 in the early to mid game, while in the end game, everyone is about 40 to 50 instead of everybody being capped at level 30. I feel this would have given a harder challenge in the beginning of the game while still showing that Henry has progressed through everything he went through in the first game. Instead, I feel like I'm starting from scratch as an inexperienced peasant again, except this time I just have a little bit of skills. Henry heals perfectly fine in such a little amount of time, pretty much no hindrance at all from a terrible fall, and he took such a major loss to his stats. To me, that seems like that is something you cannot recover from, which leads to my previous argument that it's just artificial difficulty. With that hot take out of the way, let's move on to the next one, which is the same faces used everywhere.
Oh yeah, because this isn't a mess, is it? Fuck off!
Shut up! Oh, you'll get a whipping too.
Where's the chief? I brought him a guest.
Just now he's interrogating some captives.
Why are there so many NPCs with the same face? Why have I seen Margrave's face, a main character in the story, in cutscenes, everywhere? Every village I go to, every shop I go to, it's everywhere. It's in my dreams, haunting me. I mean, obviously not like that, but dude, it's literally everywhere. Every place you go to, you see the multiple of the same faces over and over again, and it really, really drives me out of the story. I don't want to see a main character's face on somebody else before I see that main character. An argument that I've seen people make about this is, and this makes no sense to me, well, Skyrim does the same thing. A couple other games do the same thing. Yeah, and it's just as shitty in those games as it is in this one. Now look, if these people have the same faces as random bandits, random peasants, etc., that doesn't bother me. Most likely you're never going to see them anyway, so the reuse of the same face is fine in that case. But as I previously said, when you pull a main character's face and put it on every fucking person in the game, it gets me annoyed. Nothing like seeing Margrave for the first time in the cutscene and saying, which I literally said this to myself, wow, I've actually seen you before about 14 fucking times. In the early stages of the game, when Hans and Henry are put in the pillory and people are throwing fruits and vegetables at them, I kid you not, the character next to them who's hitting them and telling them to shut up is the exact same face used for Michael, the guy a part of Zishka's gang, that you see later in the story. You have a full cutscene with him. You talk to him. He shows you around. He's very friendly with you, even though it's all a ruse. And it just completely takes me out of the game. Why did I see you at the beginning of the game? And more importantly, why do I see you torturing me when I've been captured?
Ah! Listen to him, Ernest. Like a child of the night. Beautiful music, isn't it?
At first, I thought when we were captured, Michael turned sides because he didn't want to die, and instead it's just some random torturer. Now, like I said, I am okay if faces are used from people in the story, side characters, whatever. But again, it would be nice to see them before I start seeing Michael everywhere and Margrave everywhere and whoever else everywhere. I lost track of how many of the same faces that I saw. Last hot take, the cleaning mechanic. I will say I do like it. I do like that we can now do our own laundry as opposed to the first game when the only way to get fully clean and your clothes laundered was go see one of those beautiful bath maids. Anyways, I don't like how it was implemented. You are almost always covered in filth no matter what you do. Walking through a small mud puddle, congratulations. You are now completely covered in dirt from the waist down. And soon, you'll start stinking. Oh, what's that? You got into a little 1v1? Blood is now all over you like you've bathed in the blood of your enemies, rolling around in it like a pig in shit.
Our hero Henry, the fellow who helps his fellow man.
Awful accents some people have, while not as bad as the many faces used, still takes me out of the story.
Here we are. Gentlemen.
What is this stuff?
Hey, there's meat in that. And there's more than you gave me coin for. When you're finished, report for work.
My word, that's a picture and a half. I ain't seen you here before. Who sent you? Not them nomad vagabonds, I hope. Like it or not, you can't pay what you owe me, so I'm putting you to work. Is that clear?
Now, in that clip, you can clearly see, or I should say hear, a difference in her accent in the cutscene versus the one in-game. I've seen some people talking about AI voicing, as well as somebody on YouTube made a video about AI voices being used. I disagree with this. I think the developers or the sound directors or whoever was in charge did use real voices, but I think they kind of pulled a Watch Dogs Legion, blending the pitch tone changes and multiple voice actors into one. It's very immersion breaking to come across NPCs that have a Canadian, Scottish, and Jamaican accent all bundled up into one. Musa is the only character that should have an accent so different from everyone else. Now, I know he doesn't have a Jamaican accent, which leads me to believe that some blending was happening and some partial Jamaican accent was the outcome out of that. I understand it isn't feasible to hire so many voice actors for such a large game on somebody who is a very small character that you only see briefly, but it just really takes me out of it. Not as bad as the many faces, because pulling from a main character is somewhat annoying if you haven't seen them yet. So that's why this one's going in the mixed bag. If any of you had watched my previous Kingdom Come 2 Deliverance wishlist, you would have seen that I am a very huge fan of alchemy, and I had big dreams, big hopes for it. Boy, was I let the fuck down. One of the features that I loved so much in the first game was auto brewing potions, because I still do not like that I can only put one ingredient up at a time. I have a whole bag of thousands of flowers, herbs. I want to use my full stock. I hate having to pick one at a time, then brew it, then stop, restart over and over and over again. That is such a time waster to me. There is no reason why we can't have a full bag of whatever we're using to brew and just pick them out one at a time. I hate that. I hate that so much. The big feature this time around seems to be the ability to make Henry made potions. A quick shout out to Henry's Fox giving me 50% increased XP. Now, I do still really love alchemy. I love the Henry made stuff. I don't agree with how you get it, but I do love that that is an option now to really show that you progress once you get your alchemy, I think into like 20 or 25, something like that. But what I didn't really like about it is that I feel like Henry still hasn't progressed much from the first game. Why am I only able to craft low quality potions? Sometimes one potion for the entire cauldron. Early game, you can brew only one potion for some things, maybe like 2 or 3 for another. Later, 6 as your skills improve. This makes sense, yes, as you are leveling up the skill, but what doesn't make sense is why I only get one potion out of it when I've mixed everything the correct way. Is it really such poor quality that I can only salvage one file? Why is it that Henry appears to have completely backtracked in skills when we were told in trailers and in interviews how Henry has improved and will be retaining his skills into the next game? What skills? Because I can barely brew anything. Yes, it's realistic for an unskilled person to mess up and most likely only be able to create one, but we aren't unskilled as previously stated. But then how is it realistic to make these next level potions only at specific times that nobody else, no matter what their skills are, can make? I feel like this game, as well as some players, will pick and choose parts of it that are realistic. Is it realistic for me to stab someone in the face, then tell a guard, uh-oh, my bad, but my charisma is high, even though you were literally right there when it happened?
What are you doing?
What have you done, you murderer? Mercy!
No!
I surrender!
We know how to make quick work of murderers here.
This is unbelievable. I'm a man of honor from a good family. And I'm in no mood to be negotiating with a peasant like you.
Oh, I apologize, my lord. I must have made a mistake. Let's just forget about this.
Get away with that
Jesus
weapon.
Christ be praised.
You must have done it. I'm certain of it.
I surrender! Enough!
We know how to make quick work of murderers here.
Come now. I hope you don't think I'm some kind of street brawler. Me, of all people. Such behavior is beneath me.
Oh, I apologize, my lord. I must have made a mistake. Let's just forget about this.
Someone will always pick and choose what is realistic when it will benefit their argument about criticism towards this game, as well as many other games. This isn't a gripe about Savior Schnapps. I actually like the save system. Really, all you need to spend is 1 hour and you'll have all the Savior Schnapps you need. In fact, I made more than that, a lot more, and I became an alcoholic because of it. You can even make it through the entire game without ever crafting one. So many vendors sell them in bulk, you'll really never run out. Now, I will say I do really like alchemy. I do enjoy it in this. I just have some slight frustrations about it, which leads to it being in the mixed category. I love that we can make charisma type potions. I love that we can make the XP stuff, all the poisons. I love all of it. I love that you can get 6 potions once you've made everything perfectly. I love the perk system. I love that once you get to a higher level, you can use less bottles of poison to coat all your arrows and your weapons. I love Poison Blade. I love all of it. So many of the negatives and the feeling of time waster makes me believe it's in the mixed category. Next up is the stealth system. Really, it's not too bad. Don't listen to what any NPC will tell you about wearing black. Just take off all your clothes and you'll be good. That's what I did. Stealing almost seems pointless to me unless it's something for a quest that you need. Once you start stealing, you're never going to stop, which is fine, no judgment. However, so many vendors are lacking in funds that you will end up with a chest filled with unsold items because nobody can afford it. I hate when games implement merchants having such little gold, like 400, 500, some of the higher end ones only having 2, 3,000. But this item I'm selling here sells for 1,000 and I have like 15 of those. It can be even worse at times if you want to offload something quick stolen because there's not many vendors who buy stolen goods. And even if they do, again, their money is lacking. Lockpicking appears to have zero improvement from the first game. It's just as terrible. I leveled mine up pretty high, and at times, even though the little circle thing was yellow, the split second I moved it, it was unlockable, and that was on a lower end lockpick, while mine is in the 20s, and it's very, very frustrating. This is speaking from a controller user, so I don't want to speak on mouse and keyboard. Now, what I really do like about stealing in this game is the mechanic where you will get caught if you are wearing the person's armor, their weapon, bow, whatever. And while that is great, and I really wish other games would implement it because it really brings a good dynamic to the game, it's very easy to get out of though. Simply talk to the person you've stolen from or the guard if they run and go get help, pass a skill check or give them gold, and just like that, you're out of trouble. If you get the perk that helps with less negative reputation, almost like nothing happened at all.
Reliable Henry, he gets the job done the best he can.
I think the first game's combat gave mixed impressions for a lot of people. Warhorse definitely listened to that feedback because they greatly improved the combat in KCD2. I've only had a few issues with the combat, my biggest one being that at multiple times, arrows or bolts would just bounce off my target's head. I also don't like crossbows. I feel like there's no reason to use them over a regular bow or even having 4 guns attached to you at once. And it really sucks because in my Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 wishlist video, I was so excited to use the crossbow. And honestly, I was under the impression that as your strength goes up, it would be easier to pull back the drawstring and steady the bow easier, which is not the case. If I'm not wrong, then it is a minuscule difference. Now, all you really need is your handy dandy Bane's poison. The game tells you it's best used in foods. Lies. Coat your arrows, bolts, whatever your melee weapon is, draw blood and sit back and watch your enemy just gargle and die. Oh, I'm bleeding. My stomach cramp. Dies. Towards the end of the game, my very high alchemy level, combat skills, and of course my poison helped me wipe out the entire enemy camp that you're supposed to sneak out of when Henry is tasked with getting reinforcements before everybody starves to death. This gave rise to Unhinged Henry.
I believe in God, the Father Almighty, creator of heaven and earth, and in Jesus Christ, his only Son, our Lord, who was conceived by the Holy Spirit.
As you can see, long swords are still king like they were in the first game, but I can argue that short swords can hold their own now. With a couple of perks, you'll be taking people down left and right with or without poison. Heavy weapons aren't too bad. I really didn't care for them, honestly, mostly because I didn't like any of the combos. As I said earlier in the video, in-game combat does become relatively easy. But I will say that is for a lot of single player games. You know, you build yourself up to become a badass. Um, it would have been nice to see a little bit more of a challenge, but Other than that, not much else to say here. Warhorse did an amazing job with combat. It's great. It's fluid. Master strikes feel worth it. They feel like I'm just not tapping a button and insta-killing somebody. You have to actually work for it. I really, really enjoy what they did this time around. Another thing I really enjoyed, it's simple, but I really, really loved it, is playing dice. All you need to do to break the game is get, I forget the name of them, it's Saint something. It's the dice that always roll a 3, never a 2 or a 4. All you need is those dice and you will win every single hand. I enjoyed making NPCs rage.
What's the hold up? Am I supposed to open my mouth and wait for it to rain? A jug of wine, thanks.
I'm seriously curious about you, lad. Someone's throwing well.
You're always welcome here, noble sir.
I hope you don't throw like that again.
Goodbye. My God, what's taking so long?
Damn it! That can't be possible.
You suck. Give me my groschen.
Oh, Henry. We thank you, Henry.
The scenery in this game is absolutely, without any doubt, some of the best, if not the best, I've seen in gaming. The forests feel like actual forest and not small sections of the map you can walk out of in under a minute. The wildlife everywhere, the different flowers, I love it. At times, I even found myself just looking around and enjoying the evening and trying to see the sunset. It's very beautiful. The last thing is, of course, you guessed it, the story. Hats off to Warhorse for this one. Before I get too deep into it, I first want to say that I do not care what any of you Catherine, Teresa, Clara, whatever her name is, and Rosa lovers have to say. You are all in the wrong. Susanna is the best lady in this entire game. I wish I could run off and marry her. She is the love of my life. She has just not been told about it.
If Sir will allow, I'll help you undress. Before you go, I brought you something for breakfast. In case you're hungry. Oh, have I been too bold?
I love the authenticity, historical accuracy, blacksmithing, hunting, the list goes on. I know this is an unpopular opinion, and I'm prepared for your torches and pitchforks. I don't like Sir Hans. Well, I kind of do, and I kind of don't. He isn't a bad written character or anything like that. In fact, Hans is a very well written character. I just don't like his personality, which I think is great. It kind of makes me remember of Joffrey, and I'm not saying Hans is Joffrey, but I'm saying I like Joffrey because he was such a great written character to be evil that I thought he was great. He's a piece of shit, but he was still good. With Hans's personality kind of dipping in between becoming mature, still immature, I won't do stuff that's beneath me, like work and things like that, but I have no problem poaching and getting caught for it and almost hanged. It really drives home the point that Hanish was saying about him being too immature to take over and lead, and he really needs to do some growing. Double unpopular opinion back to back. I think Istvan is one of the best characters in the game.
I'll give you a piece of advice in life, lad.
We're just pawns on the chessboard. You can't change anything. Nobody will give you anything. You're just there to be exploited and sacrificed.
Istvan is right about Henry, and just right about things in general. Most of us are nobodies who are used. I mean, just look at the workforce. These companies don't give a shit about us. No matter how skilled you are, how hard you work, let's say you leave that job because they won't promote you or give you a raise, but they have no problem piling on more responsibilities for you. This happens a lot, and honestly, if you leave or you give any form of indication that you might leave, that company has no problem replacing you the next day and or having you train your replacement unbeknownst to you. As for the sacrifice part, well, look at the military around the world. You will never see the people who caused the wars or any form of conflict on the battlefield or around it. They throw regular people, most of which come from poor families, at each other until one side is victorious, all while disregarding those who survived, who end up with life-altering problems. I don't know why Henry disagreed with Isfan calling his words stupid tough talk. Henry is literally from nothing, a blacksmith's son, which he still would have believed had the events of the first game not happened. His entire life was taken from him, leaving him with nothing. No money to start over, no combat skills, honestly, no skills at all. He didn't even know how to read. Yet now he is heavily relied on for very important things by all these different lords, great in multiple different skills, a good fighter, became a bailiff, and now he can read. Had the raid on Skalitz not happened, Henry would have easily been exploited for blacksmithing and or working in the silver mine. If this isn't coming from nothing and grabbing what little power you can, as Isfan said, then I don't know what is. Henry is exactly like Isfan, just from different sides. I don't even consider Isfan the evil side. He is right. War is hell, but that is the same for both sides. No one has ever won a war without getting their hands dirty. There isn't an inherently good side here. Both do what they need to do in order to win. Both see themselves as the good side while many innocent people suffer. My only complaint with Isfan is the Eric stuff. If Isfan does see him as a lover, that is incredibly creepy and disgusting. Oh, hey, Eric, by the way, just to let you know that I helped burn down your home and killed everyone in it during a raid, including your parents, but I just want you to know I like you. I really hope this isn't the case with Eric and Isfan, because Isfan raised him and it's just gross. Practically the definition of grooming, but I'm going to hope that it will be cleared up and he sees him more as a son. Now for the icing on the cake, I want to give a huge shout out to Warhorse for their portrayal of Henry's PTSD. It was done so perfectly, and this is speaking from someone who does have PTSD. It was done perfectly. It didn't feel over the top or unbelievable, just trying to get someone's shock value. So after Henry kills Isfan, he begins seeing him in his dreams. It seems to be, at least in my interpretation, Henry's conscience manifestation of him wondering, am I doing the right thing? Am I like Isfan? He believed he was in the right. He has killed people for his side. I've done the same thing. Henry sees Martin in his dream again, and Martin points out a really important point about the topic of revenge.
So you got your revenge? Father, did it make you feel any better? It did. So what comes next?
Mark von Aulitz is next. Then von Burghoff.
And is that what you really want, son? No matter how many people you kill, you can't change what's happened.
It's what I want.
Are you sure, Henry?
Henry is so strongly driven by revenge that now he feels there is a metaphorical hole in his heart once he's gotten that revenge. This can be said about a lot of things in life. When you strive so hard to only get one thing, what do you do now? Is it possible that you've lost all your drive in life? Once the game is over, which, by the way, I absolutely love the dream sequence with Henry's parents by his side for the last time. You can tell them what your plans are next. And for me, this was easy. I chose to settle down and start a family.
It seems this chapter of your life is over. You're a grown man now. What's he going to do?
You were right, Patman. This life isn't for me. I'll settle down. Maybe start a family of my own. I've had enough adventure to last a lifetime. Besides, someone's got to rebuild Skalitz.
I felt this is the best choice for Henry. The longer he stays in service to these lords, they will always use him and risk his safety opposed to their own. Instead, the hole in his heart will be filled with peace, quiet, and the love of his family. I absolutely love when video games have such amazing stories that really pick at my brain and open a world of topics for discussion. I want to give Warhorse all the praise they deserve and thank them for this wonderful game. So, is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 a good game? Yes, absolutely, 10 out of 10. You will lose yourself in this game. You will quickly find there is nothing else like it. The story is really engaging and makes you feel like you are watching a TV show wondering what's about to happen next. I would even argue that the story can be life-changing and open up many conversations about life, mental health, politics, you name it. If you haven't already played it, do yourself a favor and go buy this game immediately. The developers deserve and have absolutely earned the support. I want to thank you all for watching. I know this took a lot longer than most reviews coming out, but I didn't want to treat this as a basic surface level review. I really wanted to dive into the components of everything and give you the best version that I could of how I think the game is. As always, I hope you have a wonderful and safe day, and I will see you in the next one.
God protect you.
Good luck.
Will I ever see you again?
You don't need us anymore. You're all grown up.
I hope you'll give us lots of grandchildren.